Hello, my name is John Rose, and in this video I'd like to take a closer look at the hidden treasures that are buried within our traditions. That's right, my friends, there are hidden treasures that are buried within our traditions, and they have to do with the mistakes our ancestors made a long time ago, and they passed them on down to their children, and now it's become part of our traditions. In effect, as soon as they did that, it's just like as if they hid this knowledge from their children and hid it from us. It's hidden knowledge, it's lost knowledge, it's a hidden treasure if we can ever uncover it or rediscover it, because it used to be part of our knowledge base. But long ago, our ancestors, they made a mistake. We're not really sure why, but it was a mistake. And they fell in love with it. They got addicted to it. And they did what all good addicts do. They ran to denial. And once you're in a state of denial, you're then in a position to do something you never think of doing. And that's passing down your mistake to your children. So that's how most of us start our journey off in life, isn't it? On the wrong path, with false knowledge, where we make mistakes and we end up with the same problems that we've had ever since our very first big mistake, which people refer to as the fall of mankind. What made that such a big mistake is we lost one of our senses. That's what created the dark side to our behavior. And right now, it's the darkest of the dark side of our behavior that's taking advantage of the fact that we're sick. They're exploiting the sickness in us, and now they're the number one reason why we can't find the knowledge we need, these hidden treasures. In fact, I used to put traditions as my number one source for false knowledge for the reason I gave a little while ago. It's how most of us start our journey off in life, isn't it? Our parents teach us the same mistakes. We grew up thinking that cooking's an art. We don't realize it's the original sin. But then I realized we should be smart enough to realize what our traditions are, because our traditions are nothing but all of our accumulated wisdom and all of our accumulated mistakes. And then all the great things that we see and love about ourselves will tie back into the accumulated wisdom. And then all those things that we don't like about ourselves, all those negative things, the war and the crime and the violence and the dark side of our behavior, that ties back into the mistakes. But remember, we're faced with the same obstacles our ancestors had a long time ago. We're in love with these mistakes, aren't we? It's sort of a catch-22. Kind of reminds me what happens when people get sucked into crack cocaine, where it damages your frontal lobe, and now you can't make good decisions. Well, we're almost in the same boat, because that's what denial does. It damages us in a way where we can't use our frontal lobe. We just shut it off. Remember, denial is just a defense mechanism to keep us from going crazy about all the stupid things we do. Plus, we want to protect our pleasures. So when it comes to something that's causing our problems, we have to realize whatever the solution is, we're going to be in love with it. And we're going to be resistant to letting go of it. Once again, the solution to most of our problems lies in the mistakes that are passed down to us through childhood. So that in effect, most of our problems begin in childhood. Every 7-year-old child right now knows how to make the same mistakes that we've been making for 3,000 generations, and will continue to have war and crime and violence and can't find a cure for heart disease or cancer or diabetes or even the common cold, when they're all tied together. Why can't we figure it out where the addictions and the denial, huge factors? But then it's the dark side of our behavior that's keeping us from figuring out our solutions are in our traditions. So you see what we're up against, our traditions, by God. We all know what that's all about, don't we? If we're of a certain country or race, we have our own cuisine that not just tastes good to us, but it brings back all those memories, doesn't it? Another reason why it's so difficult. And the biggest reason of all why we have to reach the tipping point. Because we're going to struggle breaking away from the herd psychologically as long as the herd's going the wrong way. Thank you. So, what do? Well, we've got to start a grassroots movement. We got to encourage people to take a solid food vacation. There's only one way that we're going to make this easy for the rest of us. And that is for us to reach that magic number, that critical mass, that point where things start to speed up exponentially. Otherwise, it's not an easy journey on this hero's journey, is it? Especially with our family, the ones we love. It's very difficult when we don't get support. It's very difficult when you seem to be the odd one out. But remember what Mark Twain said. Whenever you find yourself on the side of the majority, it's time to pause and reflect. And I might add, ask yourself, are we smart enough to overcome this negative ripple effect where we keep passing down our same mistakes to our children? When are we going to stop this worst form of child abuse? And to illustrate how most of y'all don't understand the first cause, you don't even understand how that's the worst form of child abuse ever. And people go, oh no, it can't be worse than this, but you don't understand. We wouldn't have that if we didn't have this. You got to go back to the first cause. You got to understand how important that first cause is and why we have to test an idea as time has come. And you can take a solid food vacation and have a brand new reference that will challenge all your old references that are part of your traditions and part of how things are working now. But what's working now isn't working, or what we're doing now isn't working, I should say. All we do is treat symptoms. Virtually everybody out there offering a solution, it's usually only a downstream solution. And you know me, I'm all for downstream solutions. We have to take back control over the thing that's controlling us. And I'm still getting a lot of opposition from people who are either shills or not very good at connecting the dots. Well, you can't connect dots if you don't have them. If you believe in the official version, you're literally brain dead. You have too many references that support the things that keep us where we are. Remember, 2 reasons why history repeats itself. Number 1, we're teaching our children the same mistakes that were taught to us, our traditions. The other reason why history repeats itself, we don't have access to it. And for some reason, some of y'all just can't accept the fact that you can't trust what you've been told. We all know that history is written by the victors. I guess we just assume that we're the good guys, right? Surely American can do no wrong. Exceptionalism. We cannot do any wrong. We're the good guys. That's all poppycock. Every government on this planet is corrupt. We have shadow governments in every government. Our government doesn't represent us. That's why the solution to get out of this hell we're in is a bottom-up solution. It's up to you guys out there to play your role and either keep us where we are or get us out of there. And that's where you come into play, to get us out of there. We don't want to stay here anymore. So, if you haven't done so yet, check out my playlist to take a solid food vacation. Check out the first step. I have a special link to that on how to do this solid food vacation. And I can guarantee you, my friends, if we can reach the tipping point, things will change. We can change our traditions. We can create better memories. And believe me, I know what we're up against. I can have certain days of the year that will take me back to a certain moment with my mother and grandmother. And it saddens me that there's food involved in it. It was the wrong food that killed both of them. We have to understand that we have so much more control than we've been led to believe. We are the Goliath here in this scenario. There's only a very small group of people who I'm beginning to think were at the bottom of the pecking order, which never existed before the fall of mankind, but once we lost one of our senses, darn it, I think we kind of developed a pecking order like chickens do. And it looks like to me that the bottom of the pecking order, out of necessity, figured out how to become at the top. Isn't that what you'd want to do if you're at the bottom of pecking order? How do I get up to the top? No one else is trying to figure that out. So that's kind of one reason why we can't figure out what's going on. We can't think like the people who are the scum of the earth that were at the bottom of the pecking order, but now have figured out how to get on top. And we don't want to give this piece of the puzzle too much energy. We only have to understand how they're controlling us. It doesn't matter who they are. We don't have to go hunt them down and punish them. All we have to do is realize how they're controlling us. It's through the use of money. We have to take back the absolute tool of control. We got to learn that history is repeating itself because we didn't learn lessons from it. And if we can take back control over the money, then we can take back control over our educational system. And eventually, we'll get to a point where this knowledge will get out and we won't have these subsequent needs because we're so disconnected. That's the ultimate solution to all of our problems. And when we can wake up to that reality, I guarantee you this world will be a treat.